thoughts on tonight's episode of Arrow titled The Candidate. And, to be honest, I didn't think this was the best episode. It definitely wasn't bad, but to me, it's just there wasn't enough to keep me that much interested in the entire show. No, there are definitely things I liked about the episode, but to me, the negatives outweigh the positives. And here, I have the list of my positives and negatives here. I'd rather just get that stuff out of the way. So I'm just gonna talk about the things I didn't like about the episode. I don't know what their goal is with the whole Thea thing, and by that I mean with her going a little crazy from the pit. I mean, I understand it's a side effect of the pit, whatever, but I'm being too reminded of how Thea was season 2, season 1, of like, oh, I don't need to listen to Oliver, blah blah blah, like, and she feels like she's, I don't know, it's just, okay, obviously, like, Oliver isn't always the right character, and he isn't always making the best decisions himself, but I feel like in this instance, it's just, okay, he warned you about what's going on, and yet you're still acting, it's just, I feel conflicted about it. I finally got to a point where I was okay with Thea, but in the last couple of episodes, I don't know what the writers are doing. I hope they don't bring the character back to where she was before, where I didn't like her. I want to give this character another chance, but that's just probably one of my bigger gripes of the episode. Anarchy was lame. I know like they leave it there for him to come back, but already I'm not even that interested. It's just not interesting. He's just not an interesting character. The actor doesn't do a great job, and it's just one of those things where it's like it feels like another throwaway character that they just have, you know. So there's that, and then the flashbacks. Okay, I was excited to see Oliver finally getting back on the island, and what do? They shave his head, and then they make him, for some reason, work with these slave people. And I don't know what the fuck is going on. Watching it, it's just, the writers don't know what they're doing with the flashbacks anymore. They really don't. And when they first showed like the camp, I thought it was like the survivors of the freighter from season 2 who've kind of like lived and been living on the island by themselves. I thought it was that, and then I'm just like, oh, these more bad guys that aren't even interesting. What bothers me probably the most, and this is just my thing, what bothers me is, okay, so they shave Oliver's head. In the pilot of Arrow, we see Oliver with the long hair, nappy beard, the full homeless castaway look, and yet facial hair hasn't grown, and they decided to shave his head so they don't have to worry about the wig anymore. That's so stupid. It's beyond stupid. I mean, now I'm at the point where I don't care about the flashbacks at all anymore. I don't know what the writers are thinking with the flashbacks. They're trying to make it interesting, but it's like, you're ruining continuity within your own show. That's what you're doing. Like, I don't know what is going through the writers' heads when they're doing that stuff, stuff like that. Like, they think us fans won't notice. I know. Okay, I'm a hardcore fan, so obviously I notice this stuff. The casual fan might not notice, but for me, it's like you're not creating an interesting story here. You're creating continuity errors, and you're creating all these problems, and it's just, you don't know what you're doing with something you set up brilliantly in the first season, and second season, third season you struggled, but my problem is you never should have left the island in the first place. That's what was so great about the season 1 flashbacks, and even season 2. The flashbacks were great because there's the camaraderie between Oliver and Slade, and the fact that he was stuck here on this island, and as soon as you took him out of it, it became less interesting. Like, you didn't feel the isolation. Like, they started ruining Oliver's character development. So I'm at a point where I could care less about the flashbacks. Like, I really, really, really don't care at all. And it is something that's been really bothering me for a really long time. That the writers they seem like they're just giving up on the flashbacks. Like, they try to make it, like, I feel like they're not even really trying to make it interesting anymore. I feel like they're just doing it because they made a promise to us fans, like, oh, we're just going to do the flashbacks, which if watching the show, if I had known the flashbacks were going to get this boring and irrelevant, I would rather not have the flashbacks for the show. Because now it's at a point where I'd rather just watch what's going on in the main storyline. I could care less about the stupid flashbacks. So there's that. Another thing that bothered me, and it just... So, I mean, look at what's going on itself does not bother me. But when Thea's talking to Laurel about the Lazarus Pit, and she gave the most vague details, and all of a sudden, Laurel is like, I want to bring Sarah back from the dead. Like, I understand completely why Laurel wants to do this. I don't blame her. I would do it too. But Thea didn't specify what the Lazarus Pit does. She gave the most vague and unspecific details about it, and all of a sudden, Laurel, it seems like she's like an expert on it, and she's just like, oh, well, I'm going to go over there and bring my sister back from the dead. Like, who told you that it brings people back from the dead? Who told you? I find that, it bothers me. Like, again, what's going on does not bother me. How they handled it is what's bothering me. Laurel, again, I'm at a point where I like Laurel now, and it's just something that bothers. It's a nitpicky thing, I know, but it's just another thing that bothers me. So yeah, those are just the main things that, I ended up not liking with the show. And now to talk about things actually I did like. It's nice seeing Oliver in a happy place now. The first episode of the season premiere felt a little forced. The him and Felicity thing, and him trying to, adapt back to being in the Team Arrow again. I really, really liked Oliver in this episode. I mean, yes, he has a long ways to go before where he's going to become the Oliver from the comics. And he hasn't really been that Oliver at this, like, so far in the show. He's slowly getting there. And I hope he comes to terms with who he is as a person and starts to realize some of the things he does. He comes off as selfish and arrogant, and a lot of times he's a bit of an asshole, and he's self-righteous and all those things. So I hope soon he starts to realize that, because I feel like it's little things here and there that Oliver's starting to see in himself that I'm actually starting to really enjoy seeing as a fan of the show. So there's that, and then the scenes between Oliver and Lance in that episode really gives me hope about how they're handling Oliver and Lance throughout the season. And even in like the last bit of the episode where like he said like he would have like had him arrested for murder if he had died, and saying like that's where like this relationship stands right now. And the entire time in the episode, like Oliver has come to the point where like he relies on Lance. He does, and I've always liked that relationship. And I didn't like when they went back to Lance being mad at Oliver, blah blah blah, all that stuff, all that dramas. Calmed down a lot. I mean, yes, there's still a tension there. There's obviously like the friction between the two, but at the same time, like, I do like seeing them work together again, and that's something I missed from like the back half of last season. There's that. The scene between Laurel and Diggle in the van, I really enjoy, because it's nice seeing them interact, because throughout the show we haven't seen Laurel and Diggle really interact much at all, and see them, they've gotten to the point where now they're close with each other, they can relate to each other. Like Diggle trusts Laurel enough to talk to her about these things, and, with him going on like talking about his brother Andy being killed by Hive, and talking about how he keeping secrets about a sibling's death, and how Laurel can relate to that. Like that conversation I thought was really interesting, and I liked that a lot. Other than that, the episode was just okay. The whole Felicity and Palmer Tech thing, I could care less about it. Curtis Holt, again, could care less about that whole thing. I just want this show is good when it's not forcing too many characters on us. Because like last season, like I didn't really, I mean, Ray Palmer was a cool character, but I feel like he would have fit more on Flash. Like how we fit an Arrow, I just felt like they had him there just to have Felicity have someone else to pine for throughout the season, and have it be like a love triangle thing. And again, I've talked about before about how much I hate love triangles, but yeah, this episode was just okay. I mean, nothing great about it, to be honest. I mean, but again, things I liked about it that hopefully they will touch up on, and the problems that I had, I hope they fix in the next few episodes, or at least by the end of the season, because I'm trying to give Arrow another shot here, because I was at a point where I was about ready to give up on the show, and the show was on thin ice with me, so I guess we'll just see what happens. So that's about it for me, guys. If you guys have any thoughts about the episode, what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know what you guys think about the episode. Do you guys think I'm wrong, or do you guys agree with me? Keep the conversation going, because I don't like rambling on about myself sometimes, So yeah, if you guys like what you see here, go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. I do episode reviews of Arrow and Flash every week. I might be starting Supergirl up next week. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, in the meantime, just stay tuned for the stuff I have coming out. And until next time, guys, have a good one.